Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to some more Dead Man's Hand coverage. So today we're moving on through the factions in the first expansion, Legend of Dead Man's Hand, and taking a look at the Renegade Indians here, as they're described. And these guys are pretty cool in that they introduce a new, not necessarily a new concept, but they have a bonus, specific bonus towards hand-to-hand fighting, and we'll take a look at that. And then some pretty neat cards as well. So their list here has a chief as our leader, so we do have to take him. As usual, we see the stats here, but what is unique for these guys in their loadouts, every model that has a pistol as their only weapon also come with a hand weapon, knife, tomahawk, whatever it might be, and that actually confers an extra +1 in close combat or hand-to-hand here. So as you can see, he has a +2 for hand-to-hand, and then the dog soldier, which is kind of our elite guy as far as shooting is concerned, just like most factions, he also has that built-in +1 hand-to-hand here. So faction that, depending on how you want to organize it, if you go all close range, it's going to be very nasty, and you're limiting yourself on long range fire, of course, but you're just absolutely deadly in close combat, as your guys will have those bonuses. But again, it does limit your the different things you can do with a list. So dog soldier, as we saw, he's optional. Our regular warriors, again, if you want to just take the standard loadout, hand, weapon, and pistol, you don't get any bonuses on shooting like the normal guys, but unlike a lot of other factions, you still then have that +1 hand-to-hand. So even your average model here for the list, if you want to go with that, will still have a +1 in hand-to-hand, which makes them very, very nasty. But you can forego that, and here you can take rifles or repeaters. So again, the list overall does have to have at least half of the models with hand weapons and pistols, but that's your only option there, is if you want any long-range weapons. And interestingly, unlike all the lists we've seen so far, no options for shotguns. So keep that in mind. Now the regular, or the, I shouldn't say regular, the sort of lower end guys, the Braves, you can have 0 to 4. You don't have to field them at all. They're only 1 point, and they just have a hand-to-hand weapon, so no shooting here. So these guys need to get up close to do their thing. But unlike a lot of the sort of 1-point models in other factions, normally you'd see like a -1 to shoot, -1 to hand-to-hand. They sort of stealthily get that +1 hand-to-hand bonus here, even though they just have the weapon, the hand-to-hand weapon, and not the pistol, in the fact that their hand-to-hand is a 0 instead of the normal -1. So that actually just makes them average at hand-to-hand, which is still pretty good. So they have their 3 rules here. We've already talked about the +1 bonus. Keen as the hare is another cool one. So once per turn, a model can move 20 centimeters when using duck back instead of the normal 10, so 8 inches instead of 4, which is pretty dang cool. All right, and then the last ability here, Counting Coup. The ability can be used once per game when an opposing model is killed by one of yours in hand-to-hand. You basically get a free 4-inch move. If this results in, if it would result in you getting into contact with another enemy model, and you get a free fight from that. And then if the target does survive somehow, and they haven't activated yet, then they could break off from the combat if they want to, but you don't get to keep chaining this together. Otherwise, that could be kind of ridiculous and overpowered, but pretty cool ability as well. Essentially, most factions have some sort of trick in getting a free activation or free move or some sort of thing, and this is their version of that. So moving on to their cards. So the Joker card here, so if we can get this, there we go. War Cries. So this card allows a model to automatically enter hand-to-hand combat with a move action, overriding the rule that the model must stop if it gets when it gets 2 centimeters away from an enemy model. So again, it gives you that bonus in hand-to-hand, and then you can cover a larger distance before getting grips with the other guy. So good news for you there. Then the Queen ability here, so Eyes of the Hawk. And play this at any time. When it's played, the rest of the cards in the player's hand are discarded. The discard pile and deck are shuffled, and the same number of cards, in other words, this card plus the ones that were discarded, are redrawn. So it gives you basically a new hand if the rest of your hand is kind of iffy. So good stuff there. And then Move Like the Wind. So the King ability here, we'll get that to not have a glare on it. Must be played at the start of a turn before any models are activated. All models in the gang may take a free 10 centimeter move or 4-inch move. This move is free and does not affect activation. Use an action or count for shooting modifiers on either side. So that's pretty damn powerful. Your whole list, and that might even be a great card to, like, if you can play it on turn one, right? You get to essentially have a whole free turn of movement. Not quite a whole turn, but you know what I'm trying to get at. Your whole force gets like a free move, right? That's very powerful. So much more a great way to get some efficiency and again get a leg up on the opponent. And then finally, the ace, very short, but the war dance. Play at any time. No opposing model may make an interrupt action for the rest of this turn. That can also be pretty cool, which then will help you get to grips in hand-to-hand combat. So overall, a pretty cool faction here with a couple of neat tricks. Again, more geared towards hand-to-hand fighting. It could be worth taking at least a guy with a rifle or repeater just to be able to at least reply with some long-range fire and occasionally get the odd damage in or even a kill. But if you want to go all in on hand-to-hand, this could be a very nasty faction. And with their tricks here of getting movement and other things like that, you do want to be very wary of, once these guys are within pistol range, certainly, not just for being shot at, but, they're going to try and close the distance very quickly and then get into hand-to-hand where they will have the edge on you. So very cool faction. We have these guys. We'll be painting them up at some point as well and hopefully getting some games for you guys. We do have all the factions for the game, so it is a process to get through and paint them all. But I know the Banditos are up next as far as getting paint on them and battle report. So let us know what you guys think of the Renegade Indians here. Drop us a comment. Have you played them, played against them, your thoughts overall, and on what they do? Leave us a like, comment, and subscribe.